Green Bay. Which NFC team do you trust the most? Who wants it?
I'll go first.
Yeah, he can go first, because I really don't trust none of them.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think I trust the Rams the most.
Matthew.
Because of Tampa Bay's injuries. Well, I just think we've seen the Rams become the team that I wanted them to become the last 6 or 7 weeks. I had felt put the quarterback under center, run the football, play action pass. We've seen them do that a lot more. The connection with Odell Beckham is getting better and better week by week by week. Van Jefferson is a big play receiver for this offense. They've got one of the best connections in the NFL between Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
We've seen this pass rush get going a little bit. I thought the red zone defense was spectacular. So there's all those pieces in addition to Sean McVay, reasons why if they get into the game the right way, if their flaw in defense is you can run the football a little bit on them, that would be the challenge playing against Green Bay. I think they can get after Green Bay's secondary, and I think that their defensive line can match Green Bay's. So that's why I'd say the Rams. The other team that I will throw out there, and I don't know how much, but the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
I think because
They can run it.
yeah, they can run the football. We're talking about a team that's top 5 offensively and top 10 defensively right now. I think they've got 2 players that are positionless guys in the NFL that are as good as anybody, in Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. I don't trust their quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo would be a guy that I do not trust. But I think the San Francisco 49ers, we just raved all morning about the Cincinnati Bengals. You know who's the last team to beat the Cincinnati Bengals?
49ers.
San Francisco 49ers in Cincinnati. So because of the way the defense is playing, top 10 unit right now in the offense, I think outside of the Rams, because of all the injuries going on in Tampa Bay, the San Francisco 49ers would be up there as well.
So this is like the part of the show where like stuff you said earlier like comes back and bites you.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust any of these teams, but you have to pick the Rams. And I didn't want to. I should have went first. I thought he was going to bring up the 49ers first because, we have a little outline, and it kind of bit me in the butt.
Did it say the 49ers here?
Yeah, but it is the Rams. When you look at what they can do from a skilled player position, and he mentioned something that's very important, though. Sean McVay consistently calling run plays, right? No matter if it's Sony Michel, if they get Cam Akers back in a couple of weeks or whatever you could do. Like this team, when they run the football, and now you get into play action, when you have a quarterback who can do some of the things that Matthew Stafford can from a talent level with OBJ on the outside, with Cooper Kupp, with Van Jefferson, you have to think that that's a team can score. And then defensively, they have a star on every level, whether it's Von Miller from the outside linebacker, defensive end position. Obviously, you have Aaron Donald in the middle of the field, and you have Jalen Ramsey on the back end. And so you think about that team. The other team for me that's just so dang inconsistent is if you get the right Cowboys team. Like Dan mentioned the Los Angeles Rams getting into the game the right way. Right? Yeah. If you get the Dallas Cowboys into the game the right way, a team that should be able to run the football. Dan mentioned a Hall of Fame left tackle, a Hall of Fame guard, right? You have a running back who, when he's right, is one of the better running backs in the NFL in Ezekiel Elliott. You have Tony Pollard, who, when he gets a crease, is one of the big-time, more explosive play runners in football. And you have a defense that's extremely opportunistic. Now, they're not going to march Trayvon Diggs out there and say be one-on-one with Devontae Adams because they can't do that. Right. You're not going to have Anthony Brown where we know where to find you every play on Allen Lazard. But I do believe that if you get the Dallas Cowboys in a position to where their stars play like stars, they're a team that on paper have the roster to compete with the Green Bay Packers.
Is their biggest issue the coaching?
The Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah.
I think the head coach is a big issue. And again, RC said that in the beginning of the year. Here's why I don't. This is
why you go San Francisco over Dallas?
Yeah, because I don't trust the Dallas Cowboys to do that. Because my pushback, RC, would be when you say when their stars play like it.
Yeah, no, listen, I am.
When does that? When was the last time we saw that happen?
And so that's the fight that you have in the NFC now. The reason I said in the beginning, it's hard to trust anyone. Like the Rams. The Rams are the team best put together, and if you get the Matthew Stafford that you've been waiting on, then they become the team, obviously. When you look at the 49ers, I just don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo. The thing the 49ers have to me that they can put their hat on is that they're consistently themselves.
Right.
The 49ers are more true to their identity than any other team in football.
That's how I feel about the 49ers. And candidly about the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
But when you said when have we seen the Cowboys, I think we saw the Cowboys before Dak got hurt. And then remember on the defensive side, we didn't have Lawrence and Gregory and all them out there at the same time.
But
they've only played a handful of games together.
Back for 2 months.
the defense. I think the defense.
But I'm just saying that's when they were playing well.
But we haven't seen that team.
Yeah,
and those start. I agree.
Since New England.
Right, since New England, and I would agree that if that happens, but I'm not believing in that. I'm not trusting in that. And I look at the NFC and I go, like, if Dallas Cowboys play against the Green Bay Packers, I trust so much about Green Bay more. The same with the Rams. The same with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Honestly, like, I don't know if I trust them more than the San Francisco 49ers or the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't.
Philadelphia,
Molly, because
you trust the wait, I got to get this on record.
Because like,
no, talk to me.
I trust
Obviously, you
the
guys
Eagles
know a
more
lot
than the
more
Cowboys.
football than I
here's
do.
what-
The Eagles
I think-
more than the Cowboys?
I think here's where Dan kind of views it differently than me. When you're listening to Dan, he trusts who those teams want to be each and every week and who we actually end up seeing.
Correct.
The Philadelphia Eagles come into the game with the game plan. This is who we are. And normally when you cut the film on, I can go, yep, that's about right.
Seen this for
the San
past
Francisco
12
49ers the same way. You know what? This is who we are. This is who we want to be. You cut the film on, you're like, yeah, that's who they are. With the Dallas Cowboys, it's like they are painting a picture and giving us a perception of a team that they believe themselves to be, and they aren't showing us that team week in and week out.
It's like a watercolor. It's a little
but I'm looking at them though. And maybe like I'm like a Dallas Cowboy fan right now, right? It's like
because you want them.
I think
everybody kind of wanted to see the Cowboys do something this year at SoFi.
And they're so exciting. And Micah Parsons is a big deal for
they're
that, right?
They're exciting on both sides of the ball.
But like I just look at Dallas and I watch their offense right now, and I said this before. I think there's nothing or nobody that on their team that I trust. I trust, honestly, this is my dead. I trust Jalen Hurts to Dallas Goedert. I do. I trust Jalen Hurts. I trust George Kittle and Jimmy Graham. I don't trust Dak Prescott to Amari Cooper right now.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.